surprised that, you won't be surprised, but I mean, upon the realization, the poor cry, the rich also cry. The rich experience joy, the poor also experience joy. You know, I mean, church is, I mean, we're having some discussions upstairs about church and the things we've always believed. And the other day I was thinking to myself, yeah, most times when we give testimonies, when we speak of the goodness of God, it is oftentimes because we are not suffering what the other person is suffering. So the reason you are told to rejoice is because you are not sick, is because you have a job, is because this thing hasn't happened to you. But what I find is the people that these things have also happened to somehow praise God. So if your reason for praising God is because you've eaten this morning, what about the person that hasn't eaten but is also praising God? Does that cancel out your reason? I mean, is it making sense? So, we are capable of suffering and experiencing the same thing, irrespective of where we are in life. So there's a question I usually ask when we start our trainings, and it is this: what determines the quality of your life? So it is going to be quite interactive because we don't have so much time, so we can't really go in depth. Maybe some other time where we have a space to ourselves and more time on our hands, we can really delve very deep into emotional intelligence. But I mean, today is going to be a bit interactive. I'll touch on one or two things and then we just wrap it up. So, what determines the quality of your life? What determines it? I'm asking, so I need answers. What do you think? There are no wrong answers, really. But what determines the quality of your life? What do you think determines the quality of your life? Ah, I'm sure we know the answer, or we have an idea. If you're not, pardon? Good health. Good health determines the quality of your life. Yes, excellent. What else? What else determines the quality of our lives? If you're not looking at me, I will ask. I will ask you. And everybody's looking up. What do you think determines the quality of your life?
Probably actualization of goals and dreams.
Actualization of our goals and our dreams. One more person. What determines the quality? I love this, my lady, in this. Is Ashi okay, Abby? Yes. What determines the quality of our lives?
I think good health.
So it's good. We have good health. We have actualization of our goals. What about money? Why is nobody talking about money? Good money, not just money. Good money. All right. So now, based on what I've come to realize, the quality of our lives is determined by where we live emotionally. The quality of our lives is determined by where we live emotionally. Our emotional state determines the quality of our lives. So, irrespective of how healthy you are, irrespective of how much of your dreams you've been able to actualize, the quality of the life you live will be reflected in your emotional state. So there are people who have somehow, I mean, when we see them, we believe that they've actualized their dreams, they've actualized their goals. I mean, there was this man, Antoine Borden. I hope I'm pronouncing his surname correctly. He used to be, I think, he's a travel and food vlogger or blogger. I mean, this man was living the dream. He was traveling to different countries, different continents, experiencing their cultures, eating their food, and at the end of the day, he committed suicide. So this is someone you would feel has actualized his dreams, but there was something wrong mentally and emotionally. And that is why having it all has never been a guarantee for a good life. Good health, I mean, based on what we term as healthy, helps you in doing so many. But if you are in a wrong emotional state, even the good health, you can't really enjoy it. So our emotions, at the end of the day, really, bottom line is our emotions are the determinants of the quality of lives we live. So, what are emotions? What are emotions? And so don't mind me, in my head, I'm trying to flip through many slides to get to the ones that I think are important so we won't have to waste so much time. So, what are emotions? What are emotions? Can someone give me an idea of, or an example of an emotion? What are emotions? An example of an emotion: joy, sadness, love, anger, jealousy, fear. How many emotions? Okay, good one. How many emotions have you, since you woke up today, how many emotions have you been through? Seven. Seven. Oh, several. Okay. I was going to say you are counting it. An emotion one, several emotions. Yeah. So we find out that from the moment we wake up, we run through so many emotions during the course of the day. From, I'm sure many people wake up tomorrow Monday morning feeling a particular type of way. Monday is kind of like the best day of the week. You wake up, you're excited. Ah, we go again this week. What? Is excited about? So there is a type of emotion associated with it. Actually starts Sunday evening. From Sunday evening, the gloom is already descending. Like, we'll go again tomorrow. I'm so excited. Yeah. I see people post pictures of their Monday mornings and they're like, I'm so excited to be here. I'm very happy to be at this office. See, so we have all gone through so many emotions this morning. And when I joined, when I joined not too long ago, there were emotions in the air as well. I mean, we were laughing, we were teasing ourselves. The atmosphere was a bit cordial. Yeah. Again, the church. So that's why I said there is a feel you get in every church. Every church differs in terms of the emotions that is palpable, the emotions that you can feel, and most times we choose even the church we attend based on the emotions we feel in the church. There's a way the church makes you feel. I mean, I was discussing with the executive pastor of our church one day, and I was like, I like that we focus on trying to get people into the church. But when people leave, do we ask them why they are leaving? I mean, the church is very, let's go out and win souls. Let's go out and bring people. But people come, and then you realize that if people keep coming, then at some point the space we're using should not be able to contain us. But people come, people leave. Our focus is on getting them to come. We hardly ever talk about why people leave. And oftentimes when we ask people, why did they leave the church? There is usually a feel aspect to the reason. There are emotional aspects to the reasons why they leave. Now, there are some that will say, yes, the word is not very sound enough. The choir cannot sing. The this cannot that. But there is a feel. You have more people leaving church because they've been betrayed, because they've been made to feel some type of way, because the usher spoke to them rudely. So people even make the decision on what church to join based off emotions. People stay in organizations based off emotions. I know people who resign from 3 million monthly jobs. You say, Yes. See, because we feel that when I have, and that is a trick, when I have this type of money, if they can even pay me this money, maybe I won't feel the toxicity in this office. You will feel it. And it gets to a point you have to decide which is more important, my mental health or the money. These are key issues. Emotions are the drivers. everything we do, let's say the mass of men, all our lives we are pursuing emotions. So we are running from things that give us pain and running towards the things that we feel will give us joy. Those are the two pillars. We constantly try to avoid things that cause us pain, and we constantly run towards the things that we feel will give us joy. And that's why even in advertising, advertising doesn't appeal to your reasoning. Advertising doesn't appeal to logic. Advertising is emotions. Advertising is emotions. Nobody would advertise sports bets, which is very common nowadays, and show people that are losing. Every bet Niger, sporty bets, which one again now? I know we know them. There's bet Niger, sporty bet. State the names now, eh? Bet King, Look at the advert. Hmm? See, in sports betting, you have more people losing than winning. And that's the reason why they're in business. If more people are winning, every sports betting company will close down. So the reason why sports betting companies are in business is because more people are losing than winning. But when they want to advertise sports bets to you, they won't show you the part where they are losing. Because loss is not the type of emotion they want you to feel. Growing up, I'm sure they've stopped advertising cigarettes now, but growing up, they used to advertise cigarettes on TV. And nobody advertises cigarettes with cancer patients. No. They show you very cool people, working class men, people in, they don't, the people that smoke that I see, they are not what I see on TV in the advertisement. No. So, it is choosing to be smart about your thoughts and your feelings. There's so many definitions, so many ways we can talk about it, but put simply, it is choosing to be smart about your thoughts and your feelings. Case in point, say you're on the road, you're going somewhere with your mom, and it's Christmas period, the Dumota is very, people are pushing, shoveling each other left and right, and then maybe your mom runs into one of these traders or these boys in the Dumota, and the boy just turns around and say, Mama, what you doing? And maybe you're still calm, and then before you can say Jack Robinson, the guy slaps your mom. Mm-hmm. Exactly. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let me. I need feelers. What will you do? Is what? Is dead, Abby? Okay. What will you do? Okay. What will you do? Yeah. What will you do, Jerry? You would 37. Okay. All right. What will you do? What will you do? Someone else. What will you do? I mean, this guy, this just slaps 2x2. You give him plank 2x2 on the head. All right. So, as soon as that incident happened, yeah, and you're about to 2x2, 37, use mouth, you remember that morning, the night into the morning, you had a dream, and in your dream you slapped somebody and the person died. What are you going to do? What will you do? Mr. 2x2. You will do what? So, how many of us will change our initial decision? Upon the realization that if I slap this person might die. So, what has changed between that incident and your decision? So, when it happened initially, you wanted to slap the person, punch the person, beat the person. You were going to retaliate. But upon the realization or the remembrance of the dream you had, you chose another path. What changed? As the slap left, is your mom still in pain? Are you still embarrassed? So what changed? Choice. there was a new information. There was a new information. There was a new information. I think it was Coach Lai Wasabi that said, "Info le yonfin." There was a new information. There was a new information. And that is what is lacking. The information on how to act in situations. When you are pressed, what comes out of you is what is inside of you. So when things happen, what will come out, your response or reaction to situations is oftentimes based on what is inside of you. Now, I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. It was a very what? Very rough neighborhood. So bit by bit, we're going into relationships. So yeah, I forgot to do this. How many married people do we have here? Married? Married? Okay, married, all right. Engaged? In relationship? Single? Single. Okay. So we are moving into the relationship aspect of it all. I mean, that's the essence of Boo and Bae, abi? Boo and Bae and a Boo. Boo and Bae and a Boo. So, information. What is, when you are pressed here, what comes out of you is what is inside of you. So situations will arise. What you do or refuse to do is based on what is inside of you. It's based on what is inside of you. So emotions are data. It is telling you something. What you do with it determines whether you are emotionally intelligent or not. Emotions are data. So now, there are no good or bad emotions. Well, I was going to go to that, but because of our time, there are no good or bad emotions. Emotions are emotions. Emotions are data. Because anger has its place. Fear has its place. Joy has its place. Because the reason why we do some of the things we do is because we are angry at some situations. Now, I was saying initially that I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. Yeah? I grew up in a neighborhood where, I mean, growing up, delving into relationships now, it was a general belief that unless a couple fight, they are not in love. And it sounds funny now. Unless, I mean, I'll be at the tap because we gather to fetch water, and then you see older ladies, some of them married, some of them in relationships, and they are telling you point blank that so I talk about Jack will see Fembe with Femi, talking about no Feni. I'm serious. Now, there are people who still have such orientation today. May sound funny, but there are people who still go about with that same belief that, well, I mean, it's passion. I love it. That's why I do this. So, if you grow up in such an environment, for every time you get beaten, say you're a lady now, for every time you get abused by a man, what comes out of you, your response or reaction to that beating will be what you have always carried. So you've been told that a man beating you is an expression of his love. And that is what you now contain inside of you. So every time a man beats you, love is coming out of you. So the more he beats you, the more you love him. The more he beats you, the more. I'm telling you things that I experienced. Now, there's a couple, or there was a couple there because eventually one of them had two. Almost every time there was a fight, I mean, they were always fighting. Now, the man was huge, big. The wife, not too big, very, very, I mean, improper fraction. I mean, it wasn't. But one day we're just, I mean, we're in the hood, and then we think it was 7-ish, 7 p.m. Yes, then, I mean, we had like two very big mosques on my street. So, I mean, it was time for call for prayers. They finished praying and saying they were now making, I think they call them duas or special prayers for those that have passed. And so they were just talking and saying, and for this particular person who died today, this man is dead. How did he die? Apparently, they had another fight again. And this time around, the woman kicks the man. The man fell backwards, I think hit his head on the wall. That was it. See, for every time they beat you, love comes out of you. For every time they beat you, and people, this was what we saw, and it was almost normal. And so you will see women in relationships that have men not beating them, questioning the love of the men for them. You know, I once watched. There's this divorce court. Yeah, there's this divorce court on DSTV where people go to the court to say, okay, I want to divorce my wife, I want to divorce my husband. And there was a particular episode that I saw, and the woman was the one seeking the divorce. And the judge asked her, why do you want to leave this man? You know what her response was? He's too good for me. He's too kind. He loves me too much. Serious. And he said, how do you mean? He said, I mean, if I tell this man I'm feeling hungry by 1 a.m., this guy will go downstairs and prepare food for me. And they just sat there looking at her like, and man tells me I love you all the time. And every time he says I love you, I'm waiting for him to maybe to slap me or to. Serious. That is how damaged, that is how damaged some people are. And though she was saying it there, it wasn't built then. It didn't happen then. It was something that built up over time. So the kind of community where she was from, it was a regular occurrence for men to beat women. It was seen as the norm. So she grew up believing and expecting it to happen. So some of the decisions we make today in marriage, in relationships, even in our search for relationships, are based off of the things we've always believed. Based off of the things we've always believed. How many of the men here believe that women love money? How many of the men here believe that women love money? That women don't know more than money. This women, a woman. Unfortunately, fortunately, you find women also embracing some of these biases and cliches because they've been repeated over and over and over again. You know, when someone comes here and tells you, I think you are crazy, goes, the second day comes, I think you are crazy. By the time they come back 5 times, you start to think, am I really crazy? So, you hear things like, women don't know more than money. A woman's money is her money. The man's money is their money, this and that. But, I've seen differently. I have seen women break their backs just to keep the home. Sir, if I grew up in no really. I grew up in Mushin, off Akala, Ojo Street. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that women bend over, break their backs to keep the home. See, Nigeria we're in church, I don't want to speak negatively, but statistics shows that we are predominantly poor in Nigeria. If women love money, who is marrying all the poor people we have in Nigeria? So there is what we've been told, there is what has been repeated so much we start to believe it, and there is the truth of the matter. When you go to Awolowo markets today, majority of the people selling their women, Ojuoye market. My mom used to sell at Ojuoye market, so I know what I'm talking about. These women wake up very early in the morning. It is an arduous task, to bring out all these provisions. You see the way they stack them, pick upon pick, 3 crowns upon 3 crowns, milo upon milo. It's a lot of work. At the end of the day, it's something I used to do too. I say, oh yeah, Lord Togba, then evening time I say, Lord Palemo. So do this day after day, Monday to Saturday. Some wake up and come on Sunday. You go to Idumota. The bulk of people selling in Idumota, what gender are they? So you can see everywhere you turn, you actually see women working very hard. But there is a bias, something you have been told, and because of that, it blinds you to the reality that these women are not lazy. There are many homes that are being supported solely by the woman. They are more than you are told. And women have been told not to say it so that what? You will not embarrass the man. So they keep quiet. And then the bias prevails. Because that's what happens. When the truth is not told, the lie continues to spread. I'm saying this because the environment forms our belief system. Our belief systems form our values. Our values are what we act on. Unfortunately, the environment has transcended the physical. Now we are in many environments. I can be here and be in a very wrong environment. There are communities online. I know a guy, yeah, very smart person. Then at some point I realized he started to post or share things, some very funny conspiracy theories on his WhatsApp status. This guy is smart. I've spoken to him. I know him. But his conspiracy theories are, I am shocked. What has happened? He has joined another environment. I mean, he believes the earth is flat. Yes, he believes he's a flat earther. He believes the earth is flat. And it starts bit by bit. You know, a whole lot of these communities are online. If you check flat earthers now, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, and they will give you things they assume or things they conclude are proof that the earth is flat. And before you know, you start believing that the earth is flat. So there was a day he posted that Serena Williams and Venus Williams are men. Like, You see, it is funny because a learned person, an exposed person, is believing this thing. See, once you can control what a man thinks, just forget it. You don't have to tell him what to do. All you need to do is control what he thinks. And nobody is beyond, and that's why let he that stands take heed. We're all susceptible. I mean, that day I had to send him pictures of women that don't look like the conventional definition of. Are you telling me Obi Osikwesili is also a man? Yeah, because Falela Togunkwaya, the athlete, are you telling me she's a man? So, but because he has joined this environment where everything is a conspiracy, so they look at everything and say, no, the earth is like this, Bill Gates is this one, so those are their thought patterns. They believe that Bill Gates wants to reduce the population of the world. You will find yourself to believing some of these things, to maybe if not all, that all vaccines are bad. I wish he was born when polio was very prevalent. So I will now hear his stance. Do you get? So it's environment. Now there are people that were born in environments where the women are not allowed to speak. And so he grows up, that kind of man grows up never listening to a woman. And certain things are formed in him that makes him believe that women are not meant to talk, women are talking. When we went for my brother's traditional marriage ceremony, we went to, I think it was Agbo. Was it Agbo? Delta, where was it? Warrior Hair. Yeah, because I think Pastor Uche came around during that period. So, they'll give you this list, buy this type of fish, buy that type of meat, buy that type of, cook this type of soup. So there's a soup that is native to that community. It is essential. It doesn't matter what, if you like, bring caterpillar, bring elephant, bring hippopotamus. Say that soup, you have to make it. And there's a way you have to make it. I think they call it owo soup or wo. Owo or wo. But don't call it Fikewa. So at some point there were discrepancies, disagreements on whether the quantity was enough or whether we use the type of fish we were supposed to use. So they said all the women should go out, that the men want to talk. Like, what is the discussion that we want to have that women cannot have? Maybe there are some things they want to talk about. And then the women went out and they started talking, and was it about soup? I'm like, is it soup that women cannot listen to? Soup. Obe, soup. What is so, what is complex about soup? But see, the men there were talking based off of what the environment has put in them. And because, I said something about women believing that, yes, they don't support, they don't, because they've been told that lie over and over again, they start to act, even women start to enforce some of these conditions on other women. There's this thing of, I've passed through it, or you two must pass through it. It happens a lot in secondary school. So because you were punished in JSS1, the moment you get to SS1 like this, you take, I've arrived. Everybody has to go through the things that I went through. There is also another one that men do not need love, men want respect. And I want to ask, what does it mean? Because I've always asked that question. The funny thing about cliches is this: we repeat them so much, so often, even though we don't know what they mean. Men don't need love, men need respect. So yeah, the first time, men don't need love. And you start saying it too. And for every time I stop to ask, can you explain this thing? I've not found. So I'm not saying there is no explanation. I'm here to find an explanation for it. Men, love and respect, which one do you prefer? They are same? Okay. So love and respect, which one do you prefer? Would you rather be loved or respected? So men don't need respect, they need love. Oh really? So wait, I just want us to be on the same page. Like I said, yeah, this thing has been repeated so many times. Many people have started to take this as the truth. And for every time I ask, like I said, nobody can offer me a very solid explanation. Men don't want to love. They want to respect. Even when, I've listened to notable preachers say the same thing. That the Bible says men should love, that women should respect, that women are naturally built to love. Like, yes. And you know what happens is this, yeah? Because I've heard it repeated so many times. I've heard so many people reinforce it, that men don't need love. What they need is respect. And what you find is this. Over time, men start to complain of not being loved unconditionally. I think it was Chris Rock that, I've heard that thing over and over again. Only pets, children, and women are loved unconditionally. Men are loved based on what they can bring to the table. And you see it, and people will be doing. I say, pause. So when they string these words together, it sounds very. But have we paused to think about it deeply? Because you cannot say that what men want is respect and then complain when all men get is respect. If you've always said men don't need love, you can't come back and complain that men don't get love. And what I find is there are women that they are waiting to love you. But because you have been told what you want is respect, or what you need is respect, you don't see the love. You just want to respect. That respect, what is it? You want to know too. I'm serious. There was a particular day, I think it was in preparation for either the Men's Day or the Women's Day, and men were being asked all around, okay, what do you think men want? What do you think men want? Say, I think respect. Once you can respect a man, that's everything. I say, okay. What do you think men want? Women need to understand that what men want is respect and peace of mind. Yes. Respect and peace of mind. Ask everybody saying respect and peace of mind, respect and peace of mind. Is somebody stealing your peace in the house? What is it about? So I had to ask the person that was beside me, what exactly is it about this respect that, it just looks like we've been conditioned to say it. So anytime you're asked, you'll say respect and peace of mind. What do you mean by respect and peace of mind? I'm not saying it is wrong to ask for. I'm asking if we know what we're asking for. Because if you don't know what you want, you won't even know when you get it. So everybody just says these things, and then nobody can explain it, so nobody gets it. You know, growing up, again, based on where I grew up, there was a particular way fathers were. There was a general perception of what fatherhood was. Fathers were the people that once they come, everybody settles down. Once you enter like this, everybody goes and sits down. Nobody plays with a dad. I mean, dad, you want to play with your dad, your father. The emperor, the conqueror, the lion, the champion is there. So, with fathers, there wasn't anything like love. It was, see, that respect. So, so you are in the sitting room, the children are in the sitting room with you. From where to where? But once daddy enters, everybody will just find their way. Pretend like you want to go and urinate, pretend like you want to go and sleep. Just do everything but be in the same room with the father. You know what's funny? Same men grow old and start complaining that the children don't have any relationship with them. How do you build a relationship in old age when while you were young, you made sure there was no relationship? You need love, but you've been carrying "don't love me" on your head. No, there was a man that moved into the neighborhood. He came to our house. It is like they're like a family friend, and this man single-handedly changed my perception of what it meant to be a father. It was about the first father that I saw playing with his children. We didn't have it. So our fathers were not bad. They were just doing what they've been taught to do. They were doing what they've been shown to do. They were doing what their own fathers did. And they felt this is how fathers are supposed to be. And so maybe if I didn't get the experience from this man, I'll probably feel this is how fathers are meant to be. But this man came in and shattered that myth that children are supposed to be afraid of their fathers. I mean, he has a popular nickname. I think it was Baba Yopi. That's what we call him, Baba Yopi. So even his name itself his nickname was a very Yopi name. He played with the children. I'm serious. I like having fun, father and son laughing. What was funny? So we realized that unless there is a break in some of these things, we'll continue having the same results over and over and over again. When we meet people, and most of the clashes that happen in relationships happen based on values. So there are other things that are easy to gloss over, get over, but when crisis or clashes stem from values, they're very difficult to resolve. And that is why I tell young people, people seeking relationships, people looking to get into relationships, people that are engaged and yet to be married, that at the core of your conversations should be values. At the core of your conversations. See, it's when we go out, and what we do all the time, we go out is maybe do movies, go eat, go play. We don't have enough time to talk about certain things. And that is why when we finally get settled, it looks like we married a stranger. Because we didn't talk about certain things. We now find out our values don't align. And crisis now starts. Because we spend so much time on distractions, we were not discussing core value issues. So crisis will now start, and then it looks like you got entangled with a stranger. So we must ensure that we make our conversations value-based. There was something that happened very early this year. It was an eye opener, although it was a sad one, because before now, it looked like Nigeria had transcended tribalism or ethnic jingoisms and whatnot. But the event during the last presidential and governorship elections, especially in Lagos State, revealed a whole lot. Now, when I say these core value-based issues, this is part of the reasons why. No, I saw people who I've always held in high esteem descend so low to ethnic baiting, ethnic bigotry. Like, how are you saying this thing? I mean, it was so bad. There was a guy, I mean, I belong to a group in our community, and every now and then, I mean, so it's fine for people to have, I mean, we can't even progress as a nation if we all support one person. We are leaning towards totalitarianism or fascism. It is fine to have divergent views or divergent political leanings, but at the core should be policies, not people. So if the only reason you are saying you're not going to vote for someone is because of where they come from, you have a problem. And so there was this particular man on that group. It was like, why are you always acting like you're the one that loves Igbos? My wife is an Igbo, and still they are bad people. Like, I'm serious. So we need to have some of these conversations. You need to ask people what they think on certain issues. What do you think about the Yorubas? What do you think about the Hausas? What do you think about the Igbos? So you may be married already, and then you don't have that issue. I mean, you're a Yoruba guy married to a Yoruba guy, so yeah, or Yoruba lady rather. So you don't have that concern. But your kids, you cannot guarantee who they will end up with. So what happens if you've always carried this hatred for a particular tribe? I mean, I read a story during that electionary period of a guy, I think it was one of this African states, or African countries rather. So the guy is, I mean, let's just make an example of what we have in Nigeria. So maybe the father is Hausa, the mother is Yoruba, and then there was a crisis in the nation. Yeah, I think it was the Hutus and the Tutsis, Rwanda. So the mother was from one side, the father was from the other side. When the crisis started, they had killed they had killed the father, they had killed some of the children. The boy ran to his mother's place. The mother went and got members of her own clan to come and kill her son. A true story. True story. She was willing to kill her son because she has been told that these tribes are minorities. She was willing. These people that tainted blood. And these were the kind of words that were flying about during that period. Tainted blood, bastards, Omali. But these people that are saying, so these people, they don't exist in isolation. Somebody's husband, somebody's wife, somebody's son, somebody's daughter is tainted blood to you. So when we don't talk about some of these issues, we find out that we end up with people that have this type of orientation, this type of leanings, and then crisis starts, and we don't know what to do about it. We need to discuss core issues that focus on our core. My time is fast spent. I mean, I've been all over the place, but it's because of time. Hey, again, I've been all over the place. So, I think I have just, okay. So, what do we do going forward? Emotional intelligence. What do we do going forward? We need to start asking questions. Question everything you've always known. Question everything you've ever been told. Growing up in church, I got into a lot of trouble. I can ask questions. I mean, because there are some things that just wouldn't make sense, but you can't question them. I can ask questions. I mean, I got into serious trouble because of questions. We cannot, as a church, we cannot, as a nation, we cannot, as a people, progress without asking questions. Only one person is unquestionable. That's the Kabiyesi Eledumare. And even Kabiyesi Eledumare, we ask him questions. We need to ask serious questions. We need to question the things we've always believed. That is the core of emotional intelligence. So when you ask questions, you can now choose. Choose this day whom ye shall believe. I've placed before you life and death. Choose life so that you can live. There's so many stereotypes about men. There's so many cliches we've heard repeated on the TV, on Twitter, on Facebook. They have started to form a core. We don't know it yet until certain issues arise. So we need to take a step back, reevaluate the things we've always been told, reevaluate what we know, test it, put it to the test. And maybe by doing that, we can start to understand our emotions. We can start to take stock of the way we feel. We can start to take note of the way we act in certain situations. Because, like I said at the start, when you are pressed, what comes out of you is what is inside of you. So what are the questions we need to start asking? Who are the people we need to start talking to? What are the things we need to reevaluate, especially when it comes to relationships? Our essence as a people is community. Man cannot exist in isolation. And if we must coexist, there has to be a balance in our energy, a synergy. And we cannot do this if we are thinking like this and like that. So, my time is up. I don't want to take too much of your time again. So, I think we'll just, there's a question and answers? Okay, so at least for now, I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that, we barely scratched the surface. We didn't even go into anything. What we've done today is just to talk. We've not really identified the many facets of emotional intelligence. So I try as much as possible not to make it always academical. Because emotionally, it is real. It's something we see all around us. So that's why we try as much as possible to make it as relatable as possible. So it's time for questions and answers. So would they just ask or I still have to sit down? Okay.
Can you please put our hands together for Mr. Damola Garuba? Well, I hope we're blessed. All right. I saw the fight over whether women like money or not. All right. I think men like money too. Right? If you're a man, you don't like money, can you wave your hand? All right. All right. So we all love money, right? Or we all like money. Some don't like money. All right. Good. So we're going to go to the Q&A immediately. Now, this is actually very strong because when we're having conversation at the green room, he is even more particular about the Q&A because he believes during the Q&A, people can say things, that are off his guardrails, his teaching guardrails, which of course I believe will be very, very helpful. So I want to make it this way. The essence of the emotional talk is actually to help people. And I think I should begin. I notice that people have a lot of baggages. People carry a lot of emotional, as we are seated, as our faces are, so are the baggages, if we can see them emotionally. So how do we begin to, drop off these lot? First, I think some people don't even know they have them. And I think the teaching helped a bit in helping us recognize that. But how do we begin to drop off these baggages? Because they've become things that are not making us move forward. All right? So I'm having, I have to repeat relationships. I feel like I don't have the problem. It's the women or it's the guys that are coming or something. How do we begin to drop those things off?
So
Maybe first recognizing them, if you can help it.
exactly, yeah. I was going to say that it's identification is the first step towards dealing with any issue, and at this point, I mean, it's essential that we recommend. I think as Christians, the idea of seeing a therapist or counselors is alien to us, but I think it's something the church needs to start focusing on. There is nothing wrong with therapy. There is nothing wrong with seeing counselors. Maybe we want to change the name, we call them in the Christian environment. Maybe a therapist has a form of what's it called now? There's a stigma attached to. If I say I'm going to see a therapist, like oh yeah, do you get? So I think it's essential, and it is essential because some of us carry hurts that we don't even know are there. Some of us have been hurt by people we don't even know who they are. You just know you feel a certain way around certain people or in certain situations. And that's why he said during the teaching that emotions are data. Your emotions, they are telling you something. What are they telling you? If I see him and I feel a certain type of way, I need to ask myself, why do I always feel like this when I'm beside Pastor Femi? Why do I always feel like this whenever my friend tells me he just got a promotion? You know, again, we've been taught to feel ashamed about some of these things, but not everything you feel is shameful. As a matter of fact, own what you feel, because it is in ignoring it that it starts to fester.
Can you say that again, sir?
Own what you feel.
We should own what we
Own
feel.
it. So this is how I'm feeling. Yes, accept that you're feeling this way. Because there are times you are jealous, but you don't want to tell yourself you are jealous. And so your jealousy now develops into witchcraft because you've not even identified or accepted that you are jealous.
So there is nothing bad me saying I'm actually jealous of Pastor EY.
Yes, because it is when you realize or come to terms with the fact that you are jealous of him that you cannot ask yourself, why am I jealous of him? So am I jealous because he is progressing? Am I jealous because he now pastors a larger church? So now you know the reason you feel the way you feel when you see him. But if you don't know why you even feel that way, you can't even address it, and it will fester. That is the challenge. You need to, like I said, there are no bad emotions. Emotions are data. They are just telling you what you need to know. So if you are jealous, accept that you are jealous. If you are bad, you're about to say, any burumo, any masofulongwa. See, I'm a wicked person. Okay, I'm wicked. This is how I am. So what will I do? What you don't know, you can't change. Yeah. What you deny, you can't change. You're already telling yourself, I'm not this way. So the first step is identification and acceptance. Then we can now move on to correcting it, and that's where counselors come in, the therapy stuff comes in. So identify it, accept it, and then...
Wow, I believe that's a law that I think we should really, really celebrate, honestly. Yeah, because we are in an environment where you dare not accept that you feel jealous. We don't even accept that we feel pain. How much more say you feel jealous? We feel it's a sin. Somebody has... Now, a paper has been passed around. If you don't want to, because the question might be sensitive, you can write it down. But I would prefer we ask a direct question. All right? So somebody who has a question here, I think a microphone should be given to... So this is the first person, the second person, and the third person that I can recognize for now. All right. The first person is, that's Dr. Timmy. No. She's also a doctor. Are you not?
Sorry.
I
went still in the morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir. I want to ask two questions. The first one is the identification part that you said now. Okay, there are some times that, let me use myself as an example. I just switch into a mood that I don't understand. I just switch. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what... If you ask me what's happening, I don't know it. I don't know what's happening to me. I just feel that I just go into the mood. I just want to be alone. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Don't do this. I don't know why I'm feeling that. Because by the time people ask me, what happened now? What's happening to me too? But I don't know what is happening to me. So how do I control that emotion? That is No, and how do I get out of it? Number two, this is like a life experience. Some people might be experiencing that, I don't know, but I will use it. I will say my story. Okay, there was a day my dad called me as I'm the firstborn. So my dad called me, sat me down, and said, okay, let me start like this. I lost my mom before I was 2. Yeah, she's from Ekiti State. She died while giving birth to my younger brother. And so our family told my dad to take both of us to an orphanage home, that when we are 18, he should pick us up there. And my dad was like, wow. Okay, so he promised himself that till we are 18, they won't see us. You get? So my dad sat me down one day and said, if you are getting married, you can't marry from Ekiti State because of what he experienced from them. You get? He stated the state I can't marry from. And at the end of the day, when you see guys coming to you, they are from these states.
Guys from Ekiti, hallelujah.
Yes, and some other states that he said you can't marry from. People are from there. Maybe from the east or that. So what do? I can't go home and say, Daddy, the person I want to marry is from this state too.
Okay.
So
that's a very, can we celebrate that? That's a very good question. Can you respond?
All right, the first question, I will insist that you see, if you don't know why you get triggered, there are triggers, there are anchors. Again, because of the kind of time we had, we couldn't really go into all of this. There are things we are anchored to. There are some type of music you listen to that take you someplace else. There was a day I perceived, I think somebody was cooking, and as soon as I perceived it, I went back in time. I went back to my grandma's room. I was there. We could be anchored to sound, we could be anchored to sight, we could be anchored to smell. But these are not things that I'm not a trained psychiatrist. I'm not a trained therapist. So I can't tell you what to do. So again, like I said, the church needs to focus on this. It doesn't take much for us to get therapists, in-house therapists. People need it. The pastor is not supposed to know everything. The pastor doesn't know everything. As a matter of fact, the church was not designed for the pastor to know everything. That's not the structure of the church. Your pastor is not supposed to know everything. So most times we run to the pastor with some of these issues, and the best I can do for you is pray. But there are times you need more than prayer.
Cast it out.
Yes. No. So I would suggest and recommend that you see a therapist for that, so you can understand what makes you feel the way you feel around certain people or in certain situations. The second issue is part of what we discussed. Now, see, it is a core issue for you because you've been told you cannot marry from these places. It is a core issue for that because of what that has experienced. And before you know it, say you were lucky, maybe the first person that came to you was from one of those areas where that was not from the catchment area, so you got married. You probably transfer it to your own children, telling them that they can't marry from this, and these places. So the good thing is we know why. Some of these reasons are vague. No, we don't marry from those people, they are not good people, and that's it. But at least you understand why. So what I think we need to do is to go to the source, and that is Daddy. We need to appeal and appease him, because that's the only way for you to break free. You cannot continue to turn away everybody that comes to you because of what he experienced. His experience is his experience. You have your own life to live. But because you need your father's blessing, and especially because of what he had to go through to get you to where you are, it is essential that his heart melts towards these people. So I'm sure he has people he listens to. I'm sure he has maybe some authority figures in his life as well. You may get them to talk to him because he needs to first let go of that baggage, let go of the hurt, and realize that all Ekiti people are not bad people. They're not bad people. They get so. That is what I can advise you to do. Let's.
Wow, that's great. All right, the food people are already here, right? The food is here. Hallelujah. All right, good. That makes it. Yes, so I would take a lady before doctor for a reason. I got to know the reason now, so So, doctor, sorry. Then after then we have doctor, we have Mr. Michael. No, after then we'll take a question from here. Then we have doctor, we have Mr. Michael. We'll take a question from here. If there are none, I think we're good.
Good morning. When you were talking, you talked about people that have learned things from when they were younger. And truly, there are people like that. Now, if you have somebody like that, how do you help that person unlearn those things that they've learned? Because at times it's not very easy when you stay with this type of people and they have these characters that they've already learned. How do you help them unlearn these characters? Or how do you live with them with these characters?
So, how do you, two solutions were to prefer, how do you help them to unlearn, and how do you live with them? I find that in most situations that we opt for the second option, which is how to live and manage. The entrance of the word gives light. What changes us is the information we receive. So if someone has been set in a particular type of way, we need to help them get new information. Now, I don't know if this person is older or younger, if this person is still malleable or they're already set. So if it is someone that is still susceptible to change or to learning, it doesn't have to, and because they didn't become that way all of a sudden, or they didn't become that way in one day, they won't change immediately. So new information has to come in consistently. So if someone has always had a way of dealing with issues, maybe a case in point, when I got married, my approach to issues is it has happened, what have we learned, can we move on? I don't dwell on issues. I know 5 minutes, I know why you did it, I understand why you've done it. I know you didn't mean it for harm, though it hurt me, but I know you care about me, so I'm letting this go. Fine, I'm done. But my wife, she wasn't built that way. She needs time to process, to think, to digest, she needs a whole lot of process to get out of it. So I could get out of issues in 5 minutes. She needs 2 hours. So you see, the 1 hour, 55 minutes is always torturous for me because we're like, let's go on now. We need more now. You have said sorry, or I've said sorry. So what we did was this. We had to reach a compromise. It will take our time to get to 5 minutes. It doesn't take me anything to wait longer. It doesn't take anything from me again. So I stopped expecting her to get over it in 5 minutes. So what did we do? We sat and said, you know what, this is how you are built, this is how I'm built. Unfortunately, this thing that happened that led to this issue did not happen then, so we do not know how to deal with it. So now it has happened. What are we going to do? So, she said, okay, I used to take 2 hours before. I'll bring it down to 1 hour, 30 minutes. Then I would take an hour. I said, I used to get over it in 5 minutes. I'll still get over it in 5 minutes, but I will wait for you. What I stopped doing was expecting or pressuring her. And we do this, no matter how mature we are, relationships will bend us. So there had to be a compromise. I had to stop expecting her to get over issues in 5 minutes because I can get over them in 5 minutes. I had to start waiting.
Wow.
So I've gotten over it. It doesn't take anything from me to wait another 1 hour. How far? You don't say two. Okay, wow. Hallelujah. So let's move on. So that is living with it. Tell them, give them the new information, but as you do that, give them time to change because the way they are now was built over 10, 20, 30 years. They can't change in 30 minutes.
Wow.
They can't change in 30 minutes.
Wow.
So that is how you're already there.
Got it. Great. Said, how do we deal with a cheating partner? All right. And the second question is, why do men prefer to spend the most time outside, I think, than inside? Friends to family. Why do men prefer to spend the most time outside than inside? Friend to. So the two questions, if you can take it very fast.
So the first one was what again?
How do we deal with a cheating partner?
How do you deal with a cheating partner? A cheating partner as a spouse or as someone you're in a relationship with?
Okay.
The two.
All right.
So let's start with a cheating partner you're in a relationship with. It all boils down to self-worth. What do you think you're worth? If you're in a relationship and the person is cheating, why are you still there? Is this the definition of who you are? Are you built? Are you a rehabilitation center where don't worry, I'll manage him. It will change. It will change. It will change. Nah. If that is who you are, I wish you all the best. But it's not a healthy place to be. You see, it is key that we have a sense of self-worth. It is key that we have self-awareness. It is key that we let go of imposter syndrome. I think part of the reasons why people stay with cheating partners is because at first they don't believe they deserve those cheating partners. Because when you feel someone is too good for you, when they cheat on you, you still hold on to them.
So are you saying now that if somebody cheats now, the next option is for the partner to leave to end the relationship?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying that you first, because it's you now. You are the one that is at the receiving end. You are the one that has been cheated on. And a partner that cheated is even from a cheating partner.
Okay. So yeah, if the person should do it for once, you can.
A moment of weakness. God hates divorce. God doesn't support. The Bible says this and that about divorce. I mean, for something the Bible or God hates, divorce is one of the things that had a leeway or a reason for, and one of the grounds for it is infidelity. Yeah. So do not divorce. But if you find out that this person has been unfaithful, yes, you can now leave, and that is because it doesn't hurt just one person. Yeah, and it hurts you. It might even hurt the person they are cheating on you with. Then your relationship, if it's a relationship that has children, they're already learning. They are seeing these things. So you're probably going to raise daughters that feel it is okay for a man to cheat on them, and raise sons that feel it is okay to cheat on women. And so, by extension, you have another generation of cheater and cheatee. So it just continues that way. You can see you're not hurting just one person. So if it's a relationship and you observe it over time that this guy is not going to change, this lady is not going to change, have a sense of self-worth, have some dignity, and end it. It's still a relationship. It's not marriage yet. If it is marriage, go and see a marriage counselor. Because it's risky when you tell people to leave their marriages. Even the marriage counselor, I'm sure, will not tell you leave. Because they like to leave it open. But it all starts from you. What do you think you should do? If you feel you deserve better than something, you leave it.
What if God told me to marry him? I should stay.
So there is what God said and there is what God is saying. Yeah, God said I should marry this person, and this person is trying to kill me. So should I stay there and die?
Since it's God.
Yeah. God told them to move to Egypt. At some point, he told some to leave Egypt. So
I think that's great, because these are things people go through. I think that's really great. So if somebody is cheating and is doing it consistently, why stay? What should you do? You should move, right? But I also think the person cheating, I think it's, for me, I think it's, I hope I can say this. I think some of these things people go through, I think it's also a coping mechanism. There could be something deeper.
And then the person should go and get help.
Yeah, so what if God has put me there to help? I'm just saying. To help the person. So, but I'm saying if you are cheating, all right? I'm saying if you're cheating, there is a fundamental problem. Cheating it's just a surface. It's showing that there's something more. That is just, you're using that to cope with, to cope. Can you go see somebody? It's like you're sick. Sorry, I'm not trying to insult you. But so you need to see someone so that you can find healing. Because if you don't find the healing, you won't stop. And some of those things, what we do is just do New Year resolution. You don't do New Year resolution with accident, right? What do? You go see a medical doctor, right? So that's actually the other side to it. That if somebody is cheating, it's a proof that, because sometimes people want to stop. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. Then they still do it. Okay, so it could be something deeper that they need to do. Maybe something they learn from father or something.
Yeah, they need to get help. So, is that the second
Yeah,
question?
that's the second.
Okay, I've answered both.
Yeah, I think the second question. Yeah, why do men stay outside and inside?
Why do men choose to stay outside
Yeah.
and inside? First, I think it stems from how the society conditioned us to bring up the boy child and the girl child. So you find that girls have it tougher in terms of upbringing. It's the girl that cannot go out. It's the girl that cannot go and see her friends. It's the girl that a guy cannot come and see in the house. You find out that for many, the boys are just given, some form of leeway. We hardly pay attention to the boys. We hardly pay attention to boys. We pay, for a household that has both a girl and a boy, you find out that the attention is usually on the girl, ensuring that the girl is a type of way. The boys don't get so much attention. And so when you have two people, one has been conditioned, programmed to be uptight, to stay home. The other one has been given free reign. And your boys will be boys. Boys can go out. So you find out that this happens a lot. So one of them is already used to going out. So the other, not so much. But when you get married, or when you get married, because this is coming from, when you get married, you have to curtail some of these excesses. You have to curtail some of these excesses. It cannot be the fault of the person in the house. Because most times, I know that when they say a man is not staying at home, the question is maybe the woman is not making the home comfortable enough for him. But you just find out that for some men, no matter how comfortable the house is, there is something they're looking for outside. And that's because they have always gone out. They have always gone out. And the way the society is, if you go to a place and you see, there are places you go, you don't have a problem if you see married men there. But the moment you notice that a married woman is there, people are saying, married woman, what are you doing here? That is how the society has programmed everybody. So these are some of the things we really need to break. That, why is it wrong for women to have a girls' night out? Boys have it. Why can't ladies, why can't married women have some form of fun? Why should the entire existence of a woman be tied to the children and just the home? Why can't they have other experiences the same way the men have it? So, if a man, like I was saying, most times we want to blame it on, it's maybe the woman is not giving him peace, maybe that's why he's going out. I think it stems from the culture that has enabled us to be a bit freer as guys than the women have been allowed to be. So if you're not married, you need to cut back on the excesses. There is absolutely nothing you're seeking outside that you cannot get at home. So you have to, the man has to take a conscious, deliberate, and determined, make the determined effort to stay back in the house. You just have to. You just have to. I spoke about how we got there so we can understand why that it's not always because the default answer is always, what is the woman doing? The woman doesn't have to do anything for the man to always want to go out. He has been conditioned to always go out, to watch football, to party, to club, he's free to an extent to do all these things. The woman, not so free. So that's why many of them do it. So once you're married, you have to cut back. It's compromise. Marriage is compromise. You have to cut back on those excesses and stay at home.
Oh, great. Before we take the next question, please help announce the option of food available. So there is rice, semo, and is this amaka? Amala. Rice, semo, or amala. So you can either choose any of the three so that we don't serve the same thing. Okay, so we'll take Dr. Uche. Okay, that's been answered while we're... Oh, all right. So that's great.
Okay. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
All right. So my first question is, how do you deal with opinionated people? generally we see people who feel that their own decision or their thought pattern must be. So how do you deal with them generally? We see them everywhere. That's one. Then secondly, is divorce an option in marriage? Whereby, I know you actually said it, that's why I said you've answered it before. We've been taught that, or we grew up to know that our parents tend to endure in marriages, right? And recently, people are becoming awake where they can't take nonsense. And you can't just keep taking somebody beating you. You can't just keep taking somebody cheating on you. So what do you do next? Is divorce an option in marriage? Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
self.
Some of the questions we're asking are becoming doctrinal, but the reason I'm not so bothered is it can deal with them, because you started hearing Bible from some of the things he's saying. So go ahead, sir.
So survival is part of the self-preservation, rather, is part of the makeup of man. And if you are in a position that poses a threat to your life, my recommendation is leave. Now, you may not leave the marriage, but you leave the environment that is posing a threat to your life. Because the idea of marriage is not supposed to be a torturous or tormentor's experiment. It wasn't designed to be that way. So when it's starting to give you what it's not meant to give, you can leave, especially when it comes to abuse. Especially abuse and infidelity. There are things people get divorced based off of, and they don't sound very, is it legit or valid? But when you have things like physical abuse, emotional abuse, you have to seek safety first. So only the living can stay married.
Sorry, so what if he's the man? Because when we talk about abuse,
I didn't even put he or she.
No, because I actually had okay, maybe I will come up with it.
Okay.
Later, or should I just say then you can talk?
Say.
Because what someone said, which I think I quite agree to, is most times when many men, not most, not all men, when we are aggressive, the way they express their aggression is physical abuse. So many women, when they are aggressive, how do they express that emotion? I think it's verbal abuse, right? So, and then we're advising if there's physical abuse, the man should go. When there is verbal abuse, what do we advise? What do we most time advise? You should be patient. So how do we strike the balance? So I think everything you can say.
Verbal abuse, again, definition of verbal abuse useless man, irresponsible man. So that is verbal abuse, yeah. Emotional abuse. So I think it's better to put it as emotional abuse, because it's not always verbal as well. Silent treatment, for instance, is a terrible, terrible emotional abuse. I mean, I know a couple spent like a year together without talking to each other. I mean, you'll be shocked what you hear when people talk. 1 year, nothing to each other. Lived in the same house, 1 year, they didn't talk to each other. So these are things. So you can't, when you go to report that kind of a person, you can't say this person is insulting me, because they've never insulted you. They just stop talking to you. So, and what is it doing to you? See, death is not always physical. There is mental death, there is spiritual death, then there is physical death. So if someone poses a threat to your life, now I understand that we hold marriage in high esteem. And that's why I'm being very careful with it. If it's a relationship, it is go. That one it's very simple. If someone is treating you like this in a relationship, leave immediately. But because of the sacred nature of marriage and how highly we hold it, I'm being careful with the leave option. But I maintain that if something poses a threat to your life, to your existence, I think the safe thing to do is to first leave that environment. Leave the environment, then seek help. Some of these people are not worth returning to. They're not worth it. If you have to, some of them are not worth returning to. So, I mean, God loves you beyond your marriage. He created you for more. Marriage is not your be-all. There is more to life than it. Now, I once asked a pastor of mine, Pastor Building, you know him, that what exactly do we get from marriage that we cannot get outside marriage? That might be a question for another day. I was single then. I was like, what exactly is the essence of marriage? Why do we do this thing we all run towards, we yearn for? What is marriage giving me, or what will marriage give me that I cannot get without getting married?
Yeah, that's
something we want to contemplate.
Yeah, I think that's a very thought-provoking statement. Okay, this is how do we handle anger issue? Practical. Practical.
Like I said initially, yeah, anger is not a bad emotion. Anger is an emotion. It is your expression of it that now determines whether it is dangerous or not. You know, when people, I know people that when they're angry at someone, they decide to fight the person. And I know that there are times you are angry at some people, but you can't fight them. There are people I will get. I mean, if I'm at the bus stop and one Agbero steps on me, and I can see he has like this mark here, I will fight him. Oh, I don't know if you can decide to fight too, but I've already seen that. Which can I live with? He has stepped on me. I can just move back and chest it. If you decide to fight, you might live with more than you bargained for. So our expression of anger, the first thing you need to do is identify your triggers. Yeah? And once you notice them, between what happened and how we react to it, there's a very short time frame. What we need to learn to do is to pause. What did I say? We need to learn to pause. We can't always react as things are happening. So dealing with anger issues starts with learning to pause and reevaluating the entire situation. There is something we call consequential thinking in emotional intelligence. We couldn't get it again today. What are the consequences of this action I'm about to take? Because every action has a consequence. What would the consequences of this action be? So, yes, I'm angry. How do I express it? When some football clubs lose, some people go out on the road and burn cars, shatter things. Oh yeah, I mean it's like a pandemic in football-loving nations. I mean, the national team loses, there's riots. The favorite football team loses, there's chaos. That's an expression. Some of us just go and sleep. Last night, we were playing. I didn't even bother to watch. I just went to bed. I woke up midnight. I just did like this, 1-0. I just closed it, and I moved on. There was a time I used to cry. And I've been through plenty. So I've cried before. I've gotten angry before. Now I'm just learning to accept what is, as you know, at this point. I've taken it is hope that hurts you. So I've removed the hope. So anything that happens now happens. So I've found another way to express whatever anger I'm feeling. So you need to pause. Think of the consequences of the actions you're about to take. And gradually you find that maybe before now, if someone steps on you, your pause period is 5 minutes before deciding on what to do. With time, it starts to reduce such that next time somebody steps on you, just, what should I do? What will the consequences be? You get better at it. No, there are levels of competencies in emotional intelligence. At times, so let me just talk on the levels of competencies in emotional intelligence. There is the unconscious incompetence. You don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. You are unconscious of your incompetence. Whoa. There is the conscious competence. So the unconscious incompetence is, it doesn't know, this person is not emotionally intelligent. This person doesn't know that they're not emotionally intelligent. So, I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen. They don't know. There is the conscious incompetence. So you are conscious of your incompetence. So I know that I get angry easily, but I've not been able to do anything about it. So I am conscious of my incompetence. And that's what I was saying about jealousy. You need to be able to identify this. And so I'm a jealous person. I'm conscious of this incompetence. Now, there is the conscious competence. Now, this is how I deal with things. I consciously make efforts to deal with it. When someone insults me, I consciously hold myself back from returning the insult. When someone does this to me, I consciously hold myself back from retaliating. Now, there is the unconscious competence. that when you get to that state, it comes naturally. When you abuse me, so I think by the time you get to conscious competence, the unconscious competence, you've already decided in your mind how to deal with issues. And I think we need to get there too. I've decided that no matter what happens today, I'm not going to frown. You just find out that with the time, you start to go about your day without having, even though you have reasons or causes to act this way, because you've decided, it's now in your subconscious. You just start, you notice that you don't flare up again. You're like, what happened before? You used to get angry, but now you just realize that, yes, I'm truly changed. So we has building the mirror, changing bit by bit by bit till we become perfect. So
Can we please celebrate Mr. Damola Garuba? Thank you, sir. I think Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. I mean, it's been a wonderful time being with you.